Hello. We are back, and I know I wasn't there because I was not doing well, and I therefore could not be posting very regularly. But I am doing a little better. But I'm sure in the video you will realize I do have a bad throat and an itchy throat still. But let's just keep all of that away. We are only talking about this gorgeous palette today. I have tried to use a lot of eyeshadows from the palette so we could actually see this palette in action. So I think without any further ado, let's get into the video and just get this gorgeous eye makeup. So this is what the palette looks like up close. Just so stunning.
Hey, that's pretty good.
So we are getting into the eyeshadow look now, and I'm of course using my usual eyeshadow base to give the palette a fair try, and I am just evening it out on my lid using a flat eyeshadow brush and taking it all the way up to the brow.
A few moments later.
Alright, so the eyes are prepped. Now let's just dive right in and see how these shadows perform. There you have it. So I am starting with this eyeshadow right here. This is the E4 Ethereal Eyes 4. This is the one. And I'm using my usual MAC 217. Okay, the brush really picks up a lot. So of course the eyeshadows are going to be supremely pigmented. But of course we cannot expect anything less from Mario. And alright, so I need to make sure that there are no creases on my eyelid before I put on the eyeshadow, and there you go. Look at that. And I'm not taking a lot of eyeshadow here. Just packing it towards the outer part. So smooth. I did not have to blend this, I just did not have to blend this at all because the eyeshadow is extremely smooth. I'm just making sure that these creases are being filled with eyeshadow. It looks so stunning. So since I am planning to do a halo eye with the eyeshadow palette, I don't know, something about this palette just screams the halo eye look. So what I'm going to do is I already have the darker eyeshadow towards the outer part. Now I need to do the same thing towards the inner part as well. So I'm again going to make sure there is no creasing. Just deepening the inner part. The messages that I have been receiving for this past week, because I was not uploading at all, and I did get a few DMs from some of you asking where I have been, and I actually got a little sick and I just couldn't film, so it looks stunning. I just couldn't film and my throat is kind of still getting there. It still isn't perfectly alright. So now that we are pretty much done with the first eyeshadow, I am going to kind of take a smaller brush, and it's going to be pretty much the same but a little more fluffy. And then I want to dip into this eyeshadow right here, and this one is called EE9. There are no names actually, so this is the one that I'm talking about. I'm again going to take it on the side of the brush like so, and with very little pressure, and I'm not taking too much, so I'm taking very less, just a tad bit of the eyeshadow. And then I am going to use the side and go all around this. We are going to leave the center of the lid bare, joining the two outer inner part with this eyeshadow. So I'm using an angled brush, and it's like, again, it is a fluffier brush, and here I am using this pinkier shade, this pale dusty rose pink. This is the one that I'm talking about. So I'm taking this again on the side of the brush, just this much, nothing too much, and I'm just going to blend all of this. So the name of the palette is just so perfect. The eyeshadows aren't meant to be supremely, you know, there in your face. They are just meant to be that elegant and ethereal eyeshadow look, and that is why Mario actually chose to call it Ethereal Eyes, because it's just so, you know, soft and really beautiful. So now that we pretty much have the eyeshadows laid down, I really want to deepen the inner and outer part, and that is what we are going to do next. And you can see in real time that it is just blending so smoothly and so seamlessly that, you know, even beginners would absolutely love this eyeshadow palette, because it's just going to be so easy to use and still give you that beautiful, stunning eyeshadow look. You can see that it is very, you know, glam and not there in your face. So that's the kind of, you know, look that you can achieve with this one. So we have already used 3 mattes, first, second, and then third, and now I'm going to dip into the darkest shade. I'm going to be using a smaller brush for this and deepening the inner and outer part. If you haven't been following me on Instagram, I need to tell you something really cool. So a while ago, I used to do story tutorials, and those were super in-depth tutorials. The kind of knowledge I shared in those tutorials is something that you would pay a lot in a masterclass or something, but you get it all for free when you follow me on Instagram. And we would be restarting that. So it is going to be every Tuesday, Thursday and Sunday at 1 p.m. IST, of course. So we are going to be doing extremely in-depth eyeshadow looks, and I'm going to be sharing so much. So every look that I do is going to be super in-depth, and you're going to be learning so many tips and tricks about your base, about your eyeshadow, about everything. So make sure you're following me on Instagram as well. You would be seeing my Instagram handle on your screens right now, and if you still do not find it, a link to my Instagram would be there in the description box as well. Now I'm pretty happy with how the inner corner and the outer corner look, and it looks really beautiful. So now we're going to get into the shimmers, and which is going to be the most exciting part. So now we are going to dive into these glossy shimmers. These three are basically glossy shimmer shadows, and I am going to dip into the middle one first. I'm going to just take it on my finger, and it is just so beautiful. Look at that wet look. It literally looks wet. And this one, I am going to take it all the way up to the eyebrow. Can you see that? It is so stunning. I'm just going to repeat the same. I am just trying to layer this one so I can just get some more intensity, and you can easily layer this. Not a lot of shimmers or glitters are actually good for layering on, but this one seems to do pretty well. And then I'm going to take this shade. Okay, you can see that it's a little more champagne-y gold. I'm just going to take it on my other finger. There you go. I'm going to use this towards just the center of the lid. This looks absolutely gorgeous. And since we did not use the two metallics in the palette, I am going to be using those on my lower lash line. So we have a champagne. So now to just finish up the look, I'm going to use the darkest shade in the palette, or just a tad bit of it, to kind of melt the edges into each other. Very, very lightly. Since this is not really a very, very pigmented, shimmer shadow, you don't need to do this a lot. But other than that, we're pretty much done with the eyeshadow look. We just have to finish up the lower lash line. So for that, I'm just going to quickly go ahead, complete my base, and I will be right back.
2,000 years later.
So we are done with the face, and the eyes are all done as well. Now for those final thoughts, I am absolutely obsessed. Firstly, if I talk about the packaging, this is much more luxe and heavy duty as compared to his previous palettes. Now this one is a matte, and those previous palettes were glossy finish, and it also of course has his By Mario logo, and there are no shade names, as I probably even mentioned in the video. So these he does not like to complicate things, which absolutely makes sense. The actual palette, now this is more cool toned than warm toned, so if you plan on getting this, you really want to keep that in mind. I think my nails just look perfect with this palette. All right, so now for the actual performance of the shadows, it is of course absolutely beautiful and brilliant, but the fact that it is worth 7,000 INR is something that you really really need to look out for. I got this through an Instagram reseller, And if you honestly have any cool toned palette, something like the Natasha Denona Glam palette, you might want to skip on this one. But if you still would buy it, I think the major reason would be those 3 glossy shimmers, because those are truly, truly, truly beautiful, as you can see right here. Now to finish my lower lash line, what I majorly did was started with the darkest shade and used it on the inner and the outer part using a flat smudger brush like this one. And then I buffed all of that with this shade right here with a small pencil brush. And then in the center part, which I left bare firstly, I used this metallic in the center, and then I just put on some mascara. I also used a black liner, which was again by Mario. This is his Master Pigment Pro Pencil in the shade Super Black. And if you've not already used this, you are truly, truly missing out, because this comes with a smudger brush on the other end. And this is not like some of those smudging brushes that we get, especially in India. This is truly useful. You know, mostly I kind of stay away from those smudgers that we get on some of the cheaper pencils. Those are truly just not good for anything, but this one truly works. And then I just used this onto my waterline, and I also used it to tightline my upper lash line. And this was pretty much it for the eye. It was so easy to blend these shadows. They literally blended themselves, honestly. I just didn't have to do anything. It was that easy. And now if you talk about the pigment, this palette is not meant to be supremely pigmented, because it is meant to be more soft than harsh. So that is, you know, if you just notice the name of the palette, that is what it suggests. It's supposed to be very, very ethereal and soft. I have no complaints about getting this palette. It is only and only the price point that might be a turn off. So I think this is pretty much it for today's video, and I really hope you enjoy it. And if you liked the video, please subscribe. It would really mean a lot to me. And also follow me on Instagram. I have already restarted story tutorials, and you would be truly loving them. I will see you guys in my next one now. Goodbye, take care, and love you all.